Welcome to this Crystallize live stream. My name is Bård, and today I have again with me Vasil.
Hi everyone, I'm happy to be here.
We are covering the topic of mass operations today, but with focus on customers and orders. Typical scenarios, you're migrating perhaps from a legacy system to Crystallize, and you want to have all of your customers with the order history migrated to Crystallize. And that is basically the scenario we will dive into today. Let me start by getting the screen shared here. So, for those that aren't familiar, do you want to give a short introduction, Vasil, to what mass operations is in principle?
Yeah. So for those who didn't see the last episode we did with Pedro on mass operations, I'll kind of repeat a few things there. But the mass operations in Crystallize really allows you to execute large batch of Crystallize mutations or mutations to the Crystallize API by uploading a JSON file. And what is interesting here is that the JSON file has a list of instructions or actions that the API needs to perform. When we talk about products or customers or orders, it could be creating, updating, deleting, right? All of those, or inserting, updating prices, and so on. So a bunch of things. So we are listing all the actions that needs to be executed. Then we upload the file to Crystallize. The Crystallize runs the mutations and gives us the result of what happened, like if everything went well or if there are some errors in the file. So that's in a nutshell. And we looked the last time also a little bit into the structure, but I guess it would be interesting again to take a look at kind of from a different perspective, right? Right, as you mentioned, Bård, like this time we're going to talk about orders and customers to see how a JSON file looks there.
And one thing to mention also is that you can execute the mass operations either by triggering via the API, or you can use the command line, the CLI in Crystallize, which is what we're going to use here. And of course, all of these things are possible today with the current API, right? So this is just another way of talking to the API. A big benefit here is that there is only one call to Crystallize. You're just uploading the JSON file with thousands of operations, and it's executed without rate limiting, right? So it's super useful for mass operations. Yeah, unintended. So imports and bulk operations, it's much more efficient and much faster because you don't have the round trip for every query, right? So there's a lot of time saved. So there is already documentation on the example that we will use today. So mass operation, customer, and order imports. We've created a GitHub repository with the example files. But let's maybe jump directly to some of the nerdy stuff here, right?
Yeah, so let's do that.
So this is basically some files we have in our examples repository. And if we start with a customer, so could you help explain what we see here?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, the mass operation JSON file is really a list of instructions. And under the operations, here you see that this array of, for the developers, right? It's an array of objects, and each object is a set of instructions. So probably the most important part here is really the intent. And in Crystallize documentation about mass operations, we have a list of all intents that you can use. And the intent is really like what we want to do, right? What this action should perform. And the name is actually very descriptive, like in this case, customer group absurd. So this is about absurding, which will either create the customer group if it doesn't exist, or you to update it. Something that usually if you are doing this through the API, you need to handle yourself, right? You need to make sure that if it doesn't exist, you create, if not update. With mass operations, this is taken care of like straight away. So this is really nice. And then all the other properties that you usually see for operation is usually what would you pass when you use the Crystallize API. So in the first case, for the customer group, we have name and identifier. And if you're going to use the API straight, we're going to pass exactly the same parameter. So this is kind of a very easy way to migrate and move between API and mass operations. Then we have a follow-up. Then we have the next action here, which is customer absurd. Again, the same idea about absurd, but this time we talk about the customer, and we can even specify the type. In this case, it's organization, as you can see there, and which is the parent. The parents is with identifier Norway over there, which we created earlier, right? So the mass operations actions are executed in sequence. So first, usually the good practice here is that first we create the top level navigation, if it's a group or a folder or organization, and then after that we absurd or we add to the already created entities. Let's name it, right? Because it could be folder or a group, as I said. Yeah.
And here basically it's creating a top level customer group, then it's creating an organization, customer organization
Inside.
under this, and then you create a customer as an individual below there again, where you have basically Bobby Fischer, which is created as part of Crystallize here. And there's also another example here, which is just another update here. So you don't actually need that, but it's an example of how you can run multiple updates. So this is a very simple structure. So what we did was, or I did, or Gemini did, was basically we asked AI to look at the format and generate a bunch of customers.
Ooh, okay.
So let's have a look. First off, I'm starting with a fresh tenant. Nothing in here, no customers, no orders. And we have also here the operation logs, which is available in every tenant, and nothing has happened there. So this is totally fresh. So what I can do is basically you have the CLI Crystallize that you can use, and you can basically run here mass operation run.
Can you maybe move the feed from the cameras so people can actually see what you're sharing down there? Yeah, great.
Thanks. So here you can run Crystallize Mass Operations. It will say you need a tenant identifier, MO1, Mass Operation 1, and then I need a operations file. And my operation file is customer-hierarchy.
Yeah.
Hierarchy. And basically, I can run that. Started, running, completed.
Boom.
So first of all, you have the operations log. We'll start here, which is basically a list of all the operations and the result. So of all the customers that have been created. And then if we reload here, we should have some content. And here we see that we have kind of typical structure here where you have the different regions, you have different countries, you have different segments like B2C and B2B in this case. For B2B, we have the structure that was in the example where you have an organization, and under an organization you have the people working in that organization. So very typical both B2B and B2C setup. It's pretty simple to do essentially, and it's rather quick. So that's what you need to do in order to update or migrate customers. So with operations files, it's super simple. And pro tip is use Copilot and or whatever AI you prefer. It's really good at just automating the conversion from if it's a CSV file you have or whatever to an operation file. Or as in this case, it also just came up with a hierarchy and generated some random names and organizations. So super useful. But that was just one side of the story, right?
Yeah. But I was like really impressed again, like considering the fact like how many entities we created, right? And everything just happened by uploading the file, and all of a sudden it appeared. It's quite impressive, right? Because as if me as a developer, I'll try to run these mutations, I need to either run them in a sequence or batch them somehow. So there is some logic that you need to take care of really before adding thousands of customers, right? Because this is not just like a few of them. While with the mass operations, as we saw, we just like really defining the structure using the COI. It's even you don't need to upload anything. It's just the COI is doing everything for you.
Yeah.
Straight away, the things are just happening, and the feedback also that we get from the mass operation logs could be very useful in case identifier is wrong or something that you messed up in the JSON file. You can get some feedback right away. I think this is also quite nice.
Yeah. So this is what you use to debug also for syntax errors and things like that. So but it is as simple as that, and it's you need to run the CLI, or you can use the API. It's so simple to use the CLI, so I do that all the time. And generating the files, just have AI do it. It takes 5 minutes, right? It's really simple.
But actually, transforming files, as you said, if you're moving from one system to another and you have your exported file in a CSV or a different format, I think the AI is going to do a really good job to transform and match, map the fields and everything into this structure, and then you just have it, right? You have it once. You can test it. You can upload it in staging environment, and then the production environment is like you can do anything once you have the file.
Yeah, it's really, really efficient. I mean, it literally took 5 minutes to generate the file. If we switch to orders, so it's the same, but different, right? So here we basically have an order register intent. And then again, you have the same structure as we have on the API with the data. So here we basically have an example. This is also available in the examples repository, where you have a person, you have a standard, it's a paid, you have some total prices, you have the products that are belonging to this order, etc. And there's a couple of products here as an example, and that's basically how you can define the order. One important thing to note is that orders in Crystallize is a record of truth, or a record of history, right? So there is no relations or dependency in the order object to anything else in Crystallize. I mean, the pricing, the product names, the images, and everything is duplicated, right? So it's a data store, and that is brilliant for migrating order history, right? Because you can have orders from another system, even with product that don't exist in Crystallize, no problem. In this example, I actually don't have any. Just to show, I don't have any products in Crystallize here. Currently, empty tenant, just have the customers, and there are no orders, right?
Yeah.
So surprise, we did the same thing. We have this sample order, and we made it simple. We took the same kind of products in every order, but we generated 3 orders, I think, for all the customers that we previously have generated, and have here then the monster file with operations. I didn't type a single line of that. All of that was generated. And in the same way, we can then run the order import all customers. And this has the same kind of structure. And it's running. It's a little bit more data, and it's done.
No. Great. Let's see.
Oh, we don't have any orders. Oh, wait.
Yeah. Wow. Cool.
So that's basically how quick it is to migrate orders. Doesn't matter if it's 1,000 or 100,000 orders. You can just create an operations file and it will execute it as quickly as possible. And it's a lot faster than using the back and forth again with the one-on-one API call. So it's super efficient for data migration and imports. It's really, really efficient. And if we see here now, we can also go to the customer, and we see that this customer has 3 orders. It's similar products in each order. And if we pick another, you see the order history here. So we have basically migrated a complete customer hierarchy and also a complete set of order history, even though it's generated with example data in this example here. But it's the procedure is the same if you're doing this with real data.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the round trip.
I'm thinking maybe should we both show quickly the GitHub repo with the examples, because there are a few interesting examples about the mass operation. I think this is a good start for people. So
and just if you go crystallize.com, you go to the documentation, you scroll down, you find eventually mass operations, boom. And here we have the main introduction, and then we have the example section here with customer and order import, and here you have link to the GitHub repo directly to the operations that we used in this example. I mean the short one, not the one with all the data, because you just need a simple example to get started. And here you also have the other examples for product catalog and stock sync, etc. So this is continuously being expanded with examples, and it's very useful to quickly get started. So, for example, if you're looking for product catalog import with images, you have examples of that. Or if you want to have examples of what could be a good one, product hierarchies. So products in a hierarchy with multiple products. So some good examples to get you started there. So that's where to start, and you can download the CLI to execute the operations, and you're good to go.
Great.
Thanks for watching, and we will be doing another live stream next week. Like and subscribe, as they say, and click follow if you are on LinkedIn watching this. Thanks.
Thank you. Bye.